Hey guys, today we'll be going to the Balkans.
Red and black, I dress eagle on my chest.
Hold on, we're not visiting any of those Balkans today, but we're visiting the most prosperous part today. This place is being none other than Slovenia and Croatia. What did you expect? Okay, so let's get up to speed. This is vlog 4 of 8 of my Euro trip from this summer. If you're only coming in to watch now, and I know you're not, watch other parts first. In the last episode, we traveled the CEO of everyone's favorite trash food, Italy. Well, we entered Slovenia from the middle, crushing at some campsite near the border somewhere in Ljubljana county. Okay, so what the f is Slovenia known for? Well, aside from being the femboy country in the Balkans, which other Balkans should say as a coping mechanism to the fact that Slovenia's economy is much better than anyone else's. I mean, look at this shit. Slovenia has the largest number of tractors per capita. They love their bees, neutrality, and voluntarily assimilating to the Austrian culture faster than I am to that of Hungary. And also, when at first glance it seems like Slovenia has a nice fitting coastline to no! Because Italy after World War II said, Mamma mia, the whole peninsula is not enough, we need to cut off the whole province of Trieste. And that's how Slovenia has the third shortest coastline in Europe, only after the funny landman destination, Bosnia, and every Russian oligarch's dream destination, Monaco. But the biggest and most important things in the country are wine and nature. Slovenia has a great diversity from flatlands, to forests, to Julian Alps, and I got to experience just that. As soon as I wake up from my tent, I'm greeted by these majestical mountains. Then I go for a walk and I'm punched in the face with actual winery fields. Look, free alcoholic grape juice right in front of my eyes. And also, a Latvian car drove by there. It just tells me that wherever I go, even if it's us and nowhere in West Slovenia, I can never escape the Lisabarbas. Moving on, when you hear of Slovenia, chances are you picture this: the beautiful Lake Bled, the gorgeous island with a church. Well, I did not go there, which is a real shame as I really wanted to see it. It's like Slovenia's main spotlight. But for reasons, we drove in from the center, not north. Obviously, there was the chance of drive through Ljubljana and then up north, but surprise, surprise, we didn't have enough time. Oh, and also the camp we stayed at cost like 60 euros. Like, what? Anyway, I did want to see a different site at that point, that being the case of Postojna, or as it is in Slovenian, Postojnska jama. Yama. But then again, it seemed like it was for rich people who had backpacks and fucking mountaineering gear ready, which I didn't anticipate, and it also cost like 100 euro for a single person. Crazy people you have here in Slovenia. So we didn't go there either, and instead headed straight for the capital itself, Ljubljana. The most Slavic sounding capital of the Balkans, which would literally translate to beloved. We begin our tour of Ljubljana right outside the main old town. The city itself is really pretty. It's well maintained and clean, not surprising. Upon entering the old town, the first thing I see is the great Ljubljana castle in the distance, which has historically been the cornerstone for the city. Built in the 11th century as a wood and stone fort that was gradually improved over time, as the local powers in Slovenia shifted from the Germans to Bohemia to the Habsburgs. In 1511, a big earthquake hit the city. It was rebuilt in a Renaissance style, and then an even bigger earthquake hit in 1895, and much of the city was rebuilt under the Vienna secession style. Anyway, over here you have the Congress Square, which is nice and average, and then upon crossing the creatively named local river, the Ljubljanica, there's another famous site, or sites actually, the 19th century Triple Bridge. Don't really understand why they're so famous, but what I do know is that it's right next to the city's most well-known square, the Prešeren Square, which seems kind of bland. It seems like just a crossroad of streets rather than a town square, but they do have a beautiful church, which as a church enjoyer I've walked around for a while, as well as the statue of the guy who the square is named after, which is not a president, not a military hero, but rather a fucking poet. Oh my lord, Slovenia. And then the best part, a street vendor selling Bosnian street food, which is absolutely buzzing. And I'm serious on that one. After that we cross back to the other side to explore some more, including the Ljubljana Cathedral, which is absolutely glorious to put it lightly. It is filled with ornaments and paintings, and it's definitely worth the €1 ticket to come here. Right next to it is the official town square, named Town Square, or Mestni Trg, which is quite nice again. There I found this thing, which shows the effect of whatever the Slovenes were on, that revealed their perception of the world. Moving on, we have another very famous site, the Dragon Bridge, which is a nice little bridge right at the end of the old town, which just includes dragon statues on its corners. After a bit of promenade and old town walking, we end up at what communism does to a country. This. Contrary to popular belief, Slovenia still has some real communist Yugoslav remnants left. Its most major site being the Republic Square, which for the average Western tourist may look like hell on earth. It is on this square where Slovenia was declared independent from the most dysfunctional country in the Balkans in 1991, which was followed by a 10-day war. Now, Slovenia being the wannabe Switzerland of the Balkans they are, felt the need to build some sort of war memorial. So they did, and this block Easy. And then there was also this anchor, which apparently has some national significance, but I couldn't find it literally anywhere online, so that's that. But yeah, that would be Ljubljana. It's a lovely city and quite laid back. But hey, nice to see that after visiting some very hectic places in Italy. From there we moved down south and waved goodbye to Slovenia and enter its, well, privileged but not as privileged neighbor, Croatia. Soon we arrive in the capital of Zagreb, where you get slapped in the face with high rises. Now, Croatia is best known for its
glorious beach town and medieval Adriatic towns.
but we decided to go to the capital, which I actually visited once 4 years ago. I vaguely recognized some places we walked past, so it was quite a nice trip down memory lane. Now, while the rest of my family anticipated just making a quick stop there to get a coffee or some small snack, I sped around the entire old town. Croatian army. Okay, so how did this place come to be? Well, as the king of Hungary was returning from campaigning against Croatia, he wanted the keys called Kapton, as well as a district right next to it called Gradec, inhabited by merchants, which was declared a free royal city in 1242 and began to flourish. Eventually, a lieutenant field marshal in the Imperial Royal Army and politician during the mid-19th century known as Ban Josip Jelačić united the two towns in 1851. And the first thing you see in Zagreb is a central square named after Jelačić, known as Trg Bana Josipa Jelačića. So that's that. The town square is nice but nothing extraordinary, but just to keep away something that is certainly extraordinary, the Zagreb Cathedral. By the way, let's make this clear, Croatia is a Catholic country. This info can give you context for its attitude towards its eastern neighbors. The cathedral is a powerful and symbolic one of that, not only because it looks very nice, but also because it always seems to be under some sort of construction. This cathedral was actually the cornerstone for the dikes that I just mentioned. Moving on, I then saw the square where clearly some sort of event had just happened, and then there's a stone gate, the gates of the old town, inside of which you can see what is arguably Zagreb's most monumental structure, the St. Mark's Church, which in itself is a nice little church, but its mosaic on its roof is the obvious factor, which makes it just beautiful to look at. And it too was a reconstruction site. As Zagreb is hilly, right next to the church is a glorious view over town. Right down from there is a cool fact about Zagreb, underground tunnels. Zagreb is filled with underground tunnels, so that if Croatia's rival team fans in the World Cup end up on the streets, the locals know where to go. At that point I was in a hurry to get back to the square, which apparently the tunnels would have led to, but in no way in hell I would have just taken those, so I took the slightly longer route through the pretty city center. I arrived there just in time, and on the way out of town saw the big national theater. But yeah, that would be Slovenia and Croatia, two very similar Balkan countries, as they both share their past under the rule of the Habsburgs and Yugoslavia, that are now the most prosperous countries in the Balkans. Slovenia feels very humble with beautiful nature, who tries its hardest not to be part of the Balkan hellhole, but rather part of the Austrian/German utopia. Croatia is, well, everyone in the Balkans has an opinion on it, but I like it. Maybe next time we end up in the area, we visit the Croatian coast and Slovenia's Lake Bled. But yeah, thanks for watching. The next episode is gonna be a big one, in a very controversial country. I'll see you next week.